Hi, hello all of you. Welcome to the series of lectures which is going to describe and going to give idea about wave optics. In the series of this wave optics lecture, we are there with part 6. I am Miss Amrita Zadhav, which is going to be your physics teacher for this lecture and even for last 5 lectures. I was there to clear the concept about wave optics. Alright, so we have seen 5 parts which are related to the theory which is related to wave. Now we are going to see one more concept which is very interesting concept and that we are going to deal in this lecture. Alright, so I would like to tell you that pay attention. You should be more attentive in the class so that you will come to know what exactly the diffraction is. That is the point which we are going to learn today, which is diffraction. Alright, so before going towards today's lecture, we must have remind what we have done in last lecture. So let's move to remind what we have already done. What we have done, as we have seen the intensity distribution in the last lecture, which is related to interference, in interference we have seen the types of interference, how it can be formed, and then we have seen the conditions for steady interference pattern. That means we have to get the steady interference pattern. What is meaning of steady interference pattern? It is nothing but we have to get the bands which are forming by interference of two waves, which is dark and bright bands, should be equidistant. They should be visible, they should be clear. So this is the steady interference pattern, and to get that, what are the conditions that we have seen in last period, and methods to get coherent sources. The basic phenomena which should follow to get interference pattern is nothing but the sources should be coherent. But how to get that coherent sources, that we have seen in previous one. And what was the last? Last is, I guess, yes, it is optical path that we have seen. Okay, so reminding all these terms, we are going to move forward to learn a new concept which is going to clear one more property of wave, which is nothing but diffractions. So the points which is to be clear or which is to be covered in this is diffraction, types of diffraction, experimental setup for that type, and diffraction at a single slit. This is the Fraunhofer diffraction, which is one of the type of diffraction that we are going to deal. So this is what we are going to see in today's lecture. So let's quickly move towards the first point, which is diffraction. What comes in your mind when you see the word diffraction? There should be the fraction of something, and as it deals with the light section, as it deals with the wave section, there should be fraction of light. That means if we consider a light to be go in forward direction, but sometime it bend around the edges of an obstacle. If light is moving continuously in forward direction, when the obstacles come in between, what happens? It will bend, and it will bend at the edges of an obstacle, and it goes into the region where shadow creates. So this is nothing but diffraction exactly. You must have seen shadows. How the shadows are formed? Shadows are formed due to the blockage of light and due to an obstacle. When any obstacle comes between, it will create a darker point, which is nothing but shadow, and the points which are around that shadow are brighter points. And how the dark and bright points are obtained? By interference pattern, by constructive and destructive. When we consider constructive interference, the point which is getting is bright, and when destructive interference happens, point which is getting is darker. So this is applicable over here, which is diffraction. But what is the main difference between interference and diffraction? In case of interference, what we say, two or more wave interfere with each other, right? that we have seen in the previous lecture. What is interference? When two or more wave interfere, they will give you some pattern. That pattern is nothing but bands which are created on the screen. But what happens in diffraction? A light is bending towards the shaded area, and that shaded area we called it as shadow, and which is darker point and darker in nature. So this is all about, or this is the main difference between interference and diffraction. So this deals with, or the basis of this is geometrical optics. So basically this is bending of light. So fraction of light, so diffraction. Where it happens? It is at the edges of an obstacle, where the obstacle will be there when the light is traveling. The bending which is at the obstacle is nothing but diffraction. Okay, so this is all about the diffraction. What are the example which we deal with diffraction in daily life? What will be the example? The basic example for this is sunset and sunrise. What happens when sun sets or sun rises? All the clouds or all the sky will get the color of the sun. That means when sun rises, the light will disperse and it will get spread all over the region. So this is nothing but diffraction. Single light will bend toward the shaded area and it will cover all the part. So this is called as diffraction. Okay, and this can be carried out for sound waves, light waves, etc. Alright, so let's move towards the next point, which is types of diffraction. As we have seen, there is a bending of light near the edges of an obstacle, right? But how we can denote the types of diffraction, how we can say what are the types and on what factors it depends. So the factor which affect the diffraction is the distance. What is the distance? Distance between the experimental setup, between the source and the screen. The distance between them, if it is finite and if it is infinite, then it will give you the two types. When the distance is smaller, that means when the distance between source and screen or the observer is smaller, it is called as Fresnel diffraction. And when the distance between them is larger, it is infinite, very large, then it is called as Fraunhofer's diffraction. So let's see what exactly happens in both the cases. First, we are going to see, first is Fraunhofer's diffraction. Okay, if the distance between primary source of light and obstacle or slit causing the diffraction and the screen for viewing the diffraction pattern is very large, as we have seen, the distance between source and the screen or the slit where it get bended, when the distance between them is very high or very large, it is called as Fraunhofer diffraction. Okay, now in this case, as we said, source of light is there, so there must be formation of wavefronts. So in this case, wavefront incident on the obstacle can be considered to be plane wavefront. Wavefront is plane in case of Fraunhofer. You have to remember these points. First point is the distance between source and screen or source and slit is very large. That is the first point. Second point is the wavefront which is incident on the slit or obstacle is plane wavefront. This is the main point. For this, we generally place the source of light at the focus of convex lens so that the plane wavefront is incident on the obstacle and another convex lens is used to the other side of obstacle to make the pattern visible on the screen. From all of this, what we get, we have to consider two lenses, two convex lenses. For the first convex lens, wavefront will go and incident the rays on it, and when to another second obstacle is second convex lens on which is incident, and it will then bend towards some point and you will get the diffraction pattern on the screen. Alright, so this is nothing but Fraunhofer diffraction. What kind of lens is being used in this? Answer is convex lens. Which wavefront is being used in this? Answer is plane wavefront. What is the distance between source and screen? Answer is very large, or you can say infinite distance is there. This is nothing but Fraunhofer diffraction. Alright, okay. Moving towards the next type, which is Fresnel diffraction. Easy to understand, no need to be confused. First point is the distance between source and screen or source and slit is smaller. So we can say this is Fresnel diffraction. And the incident wavefront is either cylindrical or spherical, as it is exactly opposite to the Fraunhofer. As plane wavefront is being used in Fraunhofer, obviously cylindrical or spherical wavefront which is remaining, that must be used in Fresnel diffraction. Okay, a lens is not required to observe the diffraction pattern on the screen because they are very close to each other, so you can directly see the Fresnel diffraction. Method to find, or very difficult and experimental setup, is to find out the Fraunhofer diffraction only, because they are at infinite distance. So we have to consider some terms. So in practical purpose, we are going to see all which moves around Fraunhofer diffraction only, not in case of Fresnel. Why? Easy to observe in Fresnel diffraction. It is very easy to observe. No need to do some experimental arrangement or anything, because no need to put a lens also. So it is easier as compared to Fraunhofer's. So let's see the next point, which is obviously the experimental setup of Fraunhofer diffraction. You can see the diagram over here. In this diagram you can see two convex lenses are there, one source is there and screen is there. On that screen you can see the 2 points P and P0. As the distance between the obstacle and screen is D, if we consider that D is nearly equal to focal length of the lens, because it is between lens and the screen, so it should be the focal length. Alright, so the light which is being used in this is monochromatic. What is monochromatic light? Wavelength is same, single wavelength is there. So the monochromatic source of light, which is S, which is giving light or forwarding light towards the first converging lens, which is denoted by, I guess, the wavefront YY dash. Then as the light wave is passing in forward direction towards the converging lens, then all points which are there on the lens will act like a secondary source of light, and they will sending out all the waves in forward direction. And this is because of Huygens principle, which we have seen. So as the light wave is producing in forward direction, it tries to move in forward towards the second convex lens which is there in front of it here. So here is the arrows which is showing that all the light waves moving forward. This gives you plane wavefront. Okay, so these are going towards this, and as it fall on this, it will try to bend in this way. As it goes to here, it will try to bend like this. So if we consider a circular aperture, then the point source and the lenses are biconvex. Then it changes by the aperture or the obstacle which is there between them. Why the obstacle should be there? Because we are saying that diffraction is nothing but bending of light. To bend that light, what should we do? We have to give some obstacle between that. If the obstacle is there, then and only then the light will bend towards the shadow. So the obstacle is nothing but biconvex lens. So as light incident on it, it will bend. Here it will bend. This region is shadow region. That means dark part is there. As the dark part is there, what will be the interference over there? Diffraction. destructive interference should be there. For destructive interference, we are getting a darker point. So this is all about experimental setup of Fraunhofer diffraction. Now we are moving forward to the next point, which is also the part of this, and we have to consider all these points to cover the second point. All right, by this what we come to know that for Fraunhofer diffraction we should consider two obstacles or two lenses should be there. This is the first one. Okay, so let's see the second, which is Fraunhofer's diffraction. Okay, at a single slit. Okay, Fraunhofer diffraction at a single slit. Again, you are going to look at the diagram only, and I'm going to explain what exactly the diagram is. Roughly you can say two points are there, AB, which we can say slit through which light is moving forward. As light moves forward, they will be coming at some point. The point may be bright or that point may be dull, that we are going to see what kind of point it is. Then a lens is being placed between them. As it is a diffraction, there should be some obstacle should be in front of the source. So this is the obstacle, which is denoted by MN. Angles are given. Where it is bending, the angle is inclined, which is theta. Alright, a perpendicular is drawn over here. Now, why the perpendicular exactly drawn over there? To find out the path difference. As we have seen in interference, the path difference is nothing but, suppose A and B are the 2 points from where light is going to interfere, and we are getting point on that source. Somewhere it is at P, suppose, then the path difference is nothing but BP minus AP, right? This is the first method. Or you can find out the path difference by another method, by drawing perpendicular. As this and this are, we are going to say this is a equal. So as we draw perpendicular, so the extra distance, which is BC, CB, is nothing but the path difference. So that extra distance which covers by it is the path difference between them. Okay, so we are going to see what it is exactly. So let's move towards the explanation of this diagram. Have a look into diagram itself. I am going to explain it. A cross section of wavefront y dash incident on a single slit AB. They have said that plane wavefront is there, which is incidenting all the light waves towards the single slit AB. Okay, so suppose it is a source over here that's sending out light waves over here through the slit, and then it is moving forward. It falls on this convex lens. The center of the slit is point O. Okay, center of point AB is O. As the distance between A and B is A itself, then what will be the AO and OB? It will be obviously A divided by 2 and A divided by 2. As the whole distance is A, if we make a center of it, that will divide into half. So it will be A by 2 and A by 2. Alright. Now the slit can be imagined to divided into number of extremely slits. This slit, as we can see, it is a single slit, but why the dotted points are there? Because we are going to consider there are number of slits inside it, and when the wave is incidenting on this, all these points will try to emit waves in forward direction, and this is again due to what? Huygens principle, right? These all points which are there, and we are going to imagine number of points are over there. That point will behave as a secondary source of light. Okay, so the moment the plane wavefront reaches the slit, each slit element becomes a secondary source, and it will sending out secondary waves in cylindrical wavefront responsible for diffraction in all possible direction, because it is spreading all over the area. Alright, the cylindrical lens kept next to the slit converges the emergent beams to the screen kept at the focus. Alright, so this is kept in front of it, in front of O, and the point P0 is over here. Okay, the distance D, which is this, we are going to consider this as similar to focal length, as we have seen earlier. This is nothing but equal to focal length. And the width, for practical purposes, this is the calculation. This is for calculation that width A, which is nothing but distance between A and B, is of the order of 10 raised to minus 4 or 10 raised to minus 3 meter. That means it is very small. But for calculation and for visibility of ourselves, we are going to zoom out that. But it is in very small amount, which is 0.0001, 10 raised to minus 4 or 10 raised to minus 3 meter. And D is of the order of 10 meter. D, that means focal length of the given lens should be of the order of 10 meter. Okay, so this is the experimental setup for this. Now what exactly happens over here? Again, have a look at the diagram itself. The central and symmetrical beam focuses at the central point P0, which is directly in front of O here. When all the waves are coming out, the central wave will move towards P0. Okay, the rays parallel to the axis from all points A and B are focused at the central point P0, and as they are sending out waves from the center itself, so the phase difference or the phases are same. As the phases are same when reaching at point P0, the phase difference will be what? 0. As the phase difference is 0, they are equal optical paths. All this condition is for constructive interference. So as the constructive interference happens, what will be P0? P0 will be bright point. But as it moves forward, at this point it will be darker. The brighter nature will goes on decreases, and at this it will be the darker one. So this region is the shadow region. Okay, so in this case, point P at angular position theta. Okay, we are going to consider point P at angular position theta, and the optical paths of the rays are A and C. Here the light wave is coming from A and C. First of all, when it is from A and B, now we are going to consider from A and C. Light is emerging out and they are reaching towards point P. AC is normal to AM, as you can see. AC is normal to AM here. It is producing 90 degree. AM is perpendicular to AM. Okay, this A and K. No path difference or phase difference between these rays. So they are responsible for net path difference. Now we have to find out the path difference between them. As we are saying, light is coming out from A and C itself. We have to find out the path difference. So as to find out either the point is bright or dark, we have to know the path difference. Alright, so what will be the path difference? As we drawn a perpendicular, so this C and B is nothing but the path difference. Alright, but what is CB? You have to look at this triangle, smallest triangle, and by looking at this triangle, as the angle is theta over here, what will be sine theta? Sine theta is nothing but BC upon what? A. Sine theta is nothing but BC divided by A, as sine angle is nothing but opposite side divided by hypotenuse. What is hypotenuse? As normal is here is the 90 degree, so hypotenuse will be AB. What is AB? A over here. Okay, so what will be BC then? Or what will be the path difference? This. Okay, and it is equal to nothing but only lambda. Okay, so let K be the midpoint of AC. Here K is midpoint of AC. What will be OK then? K is midpoint of AC. As we are saying AC and AB are equal, so OK will be half of BC. Here you can say OK is nothing but half of BC, which is lambda by 2. Okay, it is nothing but lambda by 2. As the path difference between AP and OP is lambda by 2, what it will give? Destructive interference. If it is lambda, it is giving constructive. If it is lambda by 2, it is giving destructive interference. And what the destructive interference gives? The darker point. And this is nothing but the first minima. That means from this point, all the points are over here are giving you the brighter point itself, but this is the first dark point ever on the screen. So this is called as first minima. What is that? That is first minima. Okay, and the points on the screen having path difference is 2 lambda. Now as we had said that AB consisting of number of slits, so if we consider the distance is 2 lambda, 3 lambda, n lambda, they are reaching at that point will be dark, and hence will be the position of dark fringes. From that point and onwards all will be dark, but below that all are bright. Okay, so at the location of nth minima, the path difference between the rays are sin theta is equal to plus minus n lambda. So n multiples are there, and it should be the multiple of lambda. And for maxima, it is a sin theta is equal to n plus half lambda. Okay, in this statement, A is over here, A is below that. A sin theta is equal to plus minus lambda. Okay, as like this, A sin theta is equal to n plus half lambda. These are the conditions for it. Okay, do practice, then and only then you will come to know what exactly it is. You have to read it twice, thrice. For the fourth time you have to watch this video, you have to read this, then only you will come to know what exactly happening over there. Alright, in this previous one here it is BC is equal to, alright, there is one mistake in this. BC is equal to A sin theta. Okay, alright, so this is about the Fraunhofers at a single slit. Now, distances of minima and maxima from the central bright point. Now, as we are saying, the central bright point, which is P0, which is not exactly at the center, but it is nearly equal to the center. Okay, so as we consider it is very smaller angle, so we can say sin theta is equal to theta itself. As it is theta itself, it will give you the relation which is y upon d. Why y upon d? By looking at the diagram, it is along what? Yes, it is along the next axis, which is y1. So we are going to consider this as y divided by d. What is d over there? It is nothing but distance between source and screen, right? So we are getting sin theta as equal to tan theta is equal to theta is equal to y divided by d, as the angle theta is very small, so that's why we are writing theta only, and y is the distance of point P. Okay, so let y nd and y nb be the dark and bright point on the central bright point. The at the nth dark point on the either side of central will be theta and d. What will be that? Is equal to y. From the above equation it will be y divided by d, but we have to write suffix. What we have to write suffix? As it is a dark band, we are going to write theta and d, dark. Okay, it is y and d divided by d, but we are getting equation from this is n lambda by a. from this equation, from this one, as we have said, a sin theta is equal to n plus half lambda, or a sin theta, here a sin theta is equal to n lambda. Then what will be the value of it over there? It will be n lambda by a. By considering only these two, you are getting value for y in d, which is n lambda d by d, sorry, a, which we are going to say as w. What is w? What is w over there? W is nothing but fringe width. What we are getting from interference pattern. That is lambda d by d. Here it is a, because the distance between two slits, 2 points of the slits, in this case it is a, so we are writing over here a. For bright band it is this. So where w is equal to lambda d by a is similar to fringe width in the interference pattern. In this case also, the distance between consecutive bright fringes and consecutive dark fringes, except central, which is 0th bright fringe. This is it for today's lecture. And then we have find out the width. As we have seen in interference, what was that? Fringe width, right? And this also, width of central bright fringe will be nothing but this. It is given by this formula, which will be twice of YAD, which is twice YD lambda d by A, not YD, it is lambda d. It is twice Y of dark, which is twice W, which is twice lambda d divided by A, where d is distance between screen and source, or distance between the convex lens and source screen, and A is the distance between 2 points on the slits, highest point A and B, that we are given on this diagram. Okay, so this is all about today's lecture. In this lecture, what we have seen diffraction, types of it, and experimental setup for that. This is all what we have done for today's lecture. There is a comparison between Young's double slit experiment and a single slit diffraction pattern that you can go through, and you will come to know what exactly the difference. While I am explaining all these terms, I have already told you what is the difference between interference and diffraction, but to know all the points, you can go through the textbook and you will get the table over there. But I have already told you while explaining all these terms. Okay, so I will not explain it in different slide. While doing explanation, I have given the comparison between both of them. Alright, so this is all about diffraction. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any query, watch it twice, read it thrice, and then if you have any query, write in the comment. I am there to solve your queries. Alright, don't worry. Thank you so much.